So while we are closer to getting casting reveals for Matt Reeves The Batman Part 2, we are still quite a while away from getting our first look or footage of the film, and of course there hasn't been all that much to cover on my channel surrounding the movie or its production. But in thinking about recent disappointment of most comic book films, especially those within Marvel and DC's current cinematic universes, the separated movies on the way from DC are the ones that really excite me. Joker Folie à Deux is one example, and I can't wait to see what Todd Phillips has done with that sequel. But it's Matt Reeves' The Batman 2 that is by far my most anticipated within the genre, and in this video I'm going to be discussing all the things that excite me the most about it. Before I get into it though, if you want to keep up to date on any of my future content surrounding the Batman universe and other upcoming DC films, then don't forget to support this upload by giving it a like rating, subscribing to the channel, and turning on your notifications. But without further ado, let's dive into why The Batman Part 2 is my most anticipated comic book film. So the comic book genre is having quite the shaky time with its audience at the moment, as movies in multiple cinematic universes are not going down all that great consistently. Yes, there have been a few exceptions with films like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, The Suicide Squad, Zack Snyder's Justice League, and a few others, but both the quality and the box office returns have took a dip in recent years. However, when it comes to the separated comic book movies or the ones that take a more artistic approach, these projects have really stood out with very unique approaches to the genre. Joker, Logan, and The Batman as the main examples have equally and individually told their stories in fitting yet creative ways, and going forward, they really are the comic book movies that interest me the most. Of course, I love a good universe movie when it's done well, but I think there's more creative freedom and potential in the standalone projects that just give them a greater edge in this current time period over the ones that feel like more of the same. Taking The Batman as an example, Matt Reeves was able to distinguish a unique take on Batman and Gotham even after many adaptations had come before it. We got the detective Batman that we always wanted, and a film that feels more adult and akin to something like Seven rather than a traditional action blockbuster. But amongst the grim, realistic tone of Matt Reeves' Gotham world, we still did get everything we expected from a Batman movie, whether it be action, scope, or trademarks of the Batman character. This was something Christopher Nolan did way back in the day, giving us something quintessentially Batman, but projects that were of different genres and more realistic for the modern era. Not just this, but we could see his directorial trademarks all over it, and the passion that he had for that world. It's the vision of a filmmaker that can really elevate a good comic book film, and when it comes to Matt Reeves with his first Batman, he also enters that conversation. So The Batman 2, for one, is building off the success of a really well-made film that is separated in its genre and has Reeves' influence on the world of Gotham. In mentioning the Batman's take on Gotham, one of the things I think can really push the second film beyond the first is the expansion of the characters in a way that feels seamless for the type of saga Reeves is building. In the first film, we saw Bruce's addiction to being Batman and how that has been ingrained within him right from the moment his parents died. Bruce's fractured soul is evident while in the cowl, and we truly see the emotion in his performance and his eyes. But we don't get too much of him out of the cowl. He's a recluse, but when he does go out in public, he's quite the awkward individual. So in the next movie, I'm sure we will see a process of Bruce figuring out how to lead both a life as Batman and Bruce, and this would involve more scenes with him outside of the cowl. As the ending suggests, things will still get worse for him as Batman before they get better too, and I'm sure his past and personal connections to what eventually unfolds will only become more testing. But seeing this develop and showing us Bruce become the Batman and the Wayne that we know he can be is going to be one of the most fascinating aspects going forward, especially with a dynamic performer like Pattinson playing him. I'm sure we'll get all the cool stuff too, like the new tech and upgrades he works on for the Batsuit, gliding with a new cape, and work done on the Batmobile to fight the upcoming wave of crime, but again, the heart of this saga looks to be in the character moments. I think the personal connection and the deeper dive into his history, his parents, and that of Gotham is where this can all expand and deliver on. Add on the potential for intense new villains and characters to support that, ones we haven't seen in other movies, like say The Court of Owls, Hush, or Mr. Freeze, and like with Nolan's trilogy, we could get a different genre of film with each installment. So really, it's how Reeves will approach the expansion of his Gotham from a character and design level that excites me going forward, and doing this in a unique way that fits his directorial style. Speaking of that directorial vision, I expect that Reeves would want to differ things up slightly, both in his approach to filmmaking and use of subgenre, so that they can build on what they achieved before, rather than fall into too much repetition. One thing that was great about The Batman is that it really took the time to establish its world and narrative, build tension and dialogue through the imagery, sound, and interactions on screen. It had an instantly recognizable aesthetic, and evolving that in the next films will of course be a priority. But Reeves won't just do the same thing again, hence the mention of subgenres from a story perspective. He'll give us different films, whether it fits in line with a mystery, a war movie, or a drama, ones that still keep a focus on Bruce and his development as Batman. He did something similar with his Planet of the Apes films, and as we reached the finale, that last film became more of an emotional drama with aspects of war. It also had a winter aesthetic going for it, so I could see that fan theory of the Batman 2 having a blue colour scheme, for instance, being the sort of direction he takes. Essentially, whatever story, villain, or genre the sequel is, it will inform the diverse approach being taken. And that is quite exciting in a comic book genre where a lot of films just feel like repeats with new standing characters who don't feel fully realised or very new. So to see that extension and to see how Reeves evolves his vision is going to be really intriguing. When it comes to the filmmaking side of things, that again is also something that makes me look forward to The Batman Part 2 more than other upcoming comic book projects. The first film was limited in its filming approaches during COVID, and for sections of it, they had to film using the volume tech, which requires using massive LED screens with backgrounds of Gotham's skyline or streets. Some productions have used this technology the correct way, like 1899, Oblivion, or The Mandalorian Season 1, as they paid a lot of attention to visual detail with the lighting. Matt Reeves The Batman was another to join that list, and the production team combined use of the volume tech with that of scenes in real locations like Liverpool, Chicago, and Scotland. It was a mix and match of Gothic architecture to really create a Gotham that felt like a modern city which had been run down into the ground. So with The Batman Part 2, there's now the chance to go beyond mixing the volume with practical and just go full on practical. Seeing the evolution of Gotham with new locations used to form its city line will hopefully add another layer of detail on screen, and seeing more of the film in actual locations will make a greater difference in capturing that sense of authenticity. Matt Reeves is great at making his worlds feel cinematic and lived in, and I expect The Batman 2 to capitalise by expanding on the first film's landscape. Overall, I have faith in Reeves when it comes to constructing a great narrative in the sequel and bringing in elements to further the development already established. After The Batman, I'm looking forward to whatever they do in this world, whether it be in the main films or in the Arkham Asylum and Penguin spin-off shows, and I think the saga can really stand apart, not just from other takes on Batman, but from comic book films in general. The first film did that in its own way, and I'm expecting this one to raise the bar even further. Reeves has begun a saga that could contain unique subgenres in multiple films, while at the same time retaining all the Bat-lore and established detective noir tones that the first film had. It's exciting to think about what elements of the comics Reeves could also take on with the next film, and while I completely trust him to do that, what does interest me the most is the type of film we'll get. And I think we'll get one that, while yes is another detective-inspired tale, is also very different. The thought of this excites me a lot, and it's what made films like The Batman and Joker so interesting to begin with. Yes, they were films on some of the most popular comic book characters with the most popular comic book iconography, but the directors took them on in ways we haven't seen in this genre before. But that was my video discussing why The Batman Part 2 is my most anticipated comic book movie. There's a long wait to go to see if Matt Reeves' sequel really delivers on the greatness of the first film, and depending on the story, the evolution of Bruce Wayne, and the filmmaking that captures it, we won't know what kind of movie we are getting for around another year or so. But what I do trust when it comes to the sequel is the vision of Matt Reeves and how he will do everything he can to expand his Gotham world and make it more fascinating. He has a distinct filmmaking style that completely supports his approach to world building, so I'm excited to see his evolution of Gotham in the Batman saga and how he will aim to top that first film with the events of The Batman Part 2. But let me know down below in the comment section whether you're excited for Matt Reeves' sequel and what you would like to see included in that film. For much more videos and news on the Batman and DC, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like rating and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.